Hello everyone, welcome back to the Undercut and welcome to the preview for the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's another double header. It's race week again.
Well, it's a triple header, really.
Is it? Is there another
Yes,
race after this week?
there's another one next week.
What's next week? Miami? No, can't be.
Saudi.
Saudi. Oh yeah, shoot. I forget we have these Asian races at the start of the season now. It's almost an Asian segment we have
Yeah.
for Europe. Well, America and then Europe.
Oh shit.
But yeah, I mean, the Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm excited for this race because, as we saw in Suzuka, overtaking was little to none. It was such a boring race, wasn't it?
It was a dead race. I mean, the only time that we had was when there was a massive tired offset.
Yeah.
Other than that, not much went on.
A lot of people have described Suzuka as being Monaco without walls.
This year, yeah.
And just before we go into Bahrain, let's just touch upon that. Do you think this is becoming more of an issue for F1 circuits nowadays?
A few circuits are getting like that. I think there's improvements that can be made. I mean, if we look at Suzuka, we touched on it in our live stream. You can include a DRS zone up to 130R.
Yeah, which
That's
could get
going
the
to
cars a
improve.
lot closer.
That's going to improve overtaking. Yeah, obviously it could be a bit dangerous into 130R, but it'll bring cars closer for the final two corners.
Yeah.
That's the crucial part of that one. I think the new regs, when we have smaller cars, bit thinner cars, will help Suzuka. I think we've got to a point now we've made these cars too wide.
We have.
So it's not all down to the tracks, I don't think. It's down to the regulations. And I think us going a bit thinner for 2026 might help a little bit. We'll have to wait and see for next year. But it's an issue that can be rectified. Like we saw at Singapore, they took out that Sector 3, didn't they?
Yeah.
It has slightly improved racing at Singapore. Not massively, but it has improved it slightly. So there's things that tracks can do, i.e. put in another DRS zone, that could help.
So do you think the onus is on both track and car to improve racing?
Yeah, I mean, if the racing is like this in 2026 with the thinner cars, then we're going to have a problem in terms of tracks.
Yeah, because it's a lot of tracks nowadays that are hard to overtake. This is why I'm excited for Bahrain, because Bahrain is one of those tracks where there's plenty of opportunity for overtakes. There's 3 DRS zones. You've got plenty of heavy braking zones. The track is really wide. It's, you could go 4 or 5 wide down the main straight. So,
yeah, we know
yeah.
Bahrain's a track that we overtake. That's why we test there. That's why we have opening races there. It's a good opening race. And it's a track that I'm looking forward to after Australia's a bit... I mean, I know we had wet weather, so it made it a bit more interesting towards the end, but Australia's one of them that you can't really overtake on. So that was a dull race up until the weather.
Yeah.
It was. Suzuka was a bit dull. China was okay, I thought.
Yeah.
China wasn't too bad, but there are several tracks on this calendar now that some may need to be moved on or let their contracts run out.
And it's a shame to say that because it's most tracks that fall under that category are most of the classic tracks. The new ones like Texas, Vegas, Bahrain, which, I mean, obviously people think is a classic track now, but it's relatively new still. These tracks, Saudi always does a good race as well.
Yeah.
All these new tracks are actually have got the better races, I'd say. It's
I'm just
quite
having
funny.
a look. I saw a post saying about which tracks are like running out of contract and what they could be replaced with. And tracks, I can't remember exactly what there was. I was just trying to look to find it, but I can't find it. but it's like it's Barcelona.
Yeah,
That could be gone.
I wouldn't mind that either.
I wouldn't mind that. I mean, it's obvious replacement will be Madrid.
Yeah,
Let's see how Madrid goes next year.
yeah,
But Mexico is another one that could get gone. Now Checo's no longer in sport.
yep,
Azerbaijan contract could let run out.
yep.
That's always a dull race. Because we got these new tracks that are being lined up, like the one in Rwanda,
Yeah.
Madrid.
You got the Mario Kart one in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think that would just replace the Saudi Arabian one,
Yeah, it will, yeah.
to be honest.
But it looks good.
Yeah.
The track looks amazing.
It does look fun.
It does, it looks fun.
Yeah, there's all these tracks, like, but we could bring back the likes of Turkey. That's always a good track to overtake on.
Yeah,
That didn't
it's
disappoint
not.
when it came back.
It's not always the case that the classic tracks are hard. It's just that most of them do fall under. When we think of a race where it's hard to overtake, most of them are the classic tracks. Newer ones, like some of them, like Baku, in recent years have been quite dull. They have been exciting before, but recent years have been quite dull. But most of the time, it is your Suzukas, it is your Australias, it is your Monacos. They are all dull races because they're hard to overtake. Now, yeah, you could do the mandatory two-stop and you can do things to twist the race into all sorts of different ways or whatever. But at what point are you just forging a result for the sake of a good race and fan viewership and sort of taking F1 out of F1 and just making either adjustments to the track or adjustments to the cars, which I think both need to happen.
I think both needs to happen. I think there's a fine balance at this point now, where I don't think we could take out the likes of Monaco or Suzuka because they're that embedded into Formula One in terms of its history and its general goatness.
Yeah.
Of them. The likes of Australia could be susceptible to being taken off the calendar, though. Like, we went through them years of not having Australia. Did we really miss it?
I'd say we did, yeah.
Did we, though? Like, if you think about it, I wasn't that bothered.
Yeah, but you have a bias against Australia. You don't really like that track. You've never liked it on the game. You've never liked it in real life. You've got a bias. There's a perspective bias. Most people really like Australia because it's the only oceanic race we've got. It's everyone. It's nostalgic for being the season opener. We've had great races there.
Look, yeah, but recently we haven't. When was the last great race at Australia that wasn't decided like we have a great race? I think a great race that defines more than half. Australia, we've had like maybe 10 laps of good racing each race.
Yeah, but it's like that around most tracks. We've had this conversation. We had this conversation, I want to say 5 or 6 times last season, where I've gone, oh yeah, that was a pretty good race, and you go, it was a pretty good last 10 laps, and I'm like, yeah, true, because most of the races, that's just F1. That is just how F1 is. Like that's not an Australia problem. That's an F1 problem.
It is, but there's certain tracks I feel like Australia. I'll keep it unless another Oceania track comes in that looks, or we test out and it works. Do you know what I mean? Like if another Oceania track comes through and it works better than Australia in terms of racing, I'm not mad at saying bye to Australia or bye to Melbourne. It could be in Australia again. Bye to Melbourne to go to that track.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to improvements. I think the good thing about Australia is that it's been shown that they can make adjustments to the layout. So whether it can be adjusted again,
haven't done much.
Yeah, because what annoys me is that they've made. I think if we didn't have the adjustments we've got now, I think it would be a lot worse because the braking zones broke everything up. But what also annoys me is, yeah, they put in more straights to allow for more DRS and more slipstreaming, but they haven't followed that up with any massive braking zone. like the one in China, the Chinese chicane, or the bus stop in Spa or whatever. I think personally, if I was going to improve Australia, I think you keep that chicane that separates the new long straight in the middle of the track. It turns 10 and 11. And then you extend that straight a little bit further into the gravel trap and make just a fat hairpin. And I think then you will get racing and you will get massive overtake. You'll get dive bombs into there. You will. It will improve racing dramatically. And, you could do that for multiple parts of the track. So it can be improved, Australia. Suzuka, can it be improved? We know Monaco can't because the country's literally the whole track. Unless you want to build something over the ocean, you can't improve Monaco.
Suzuka, I'm thinking, again, similar to what you said, could you extend that turn 1 and just make it a hairpin instead of 2 corners? Just extend it out into that runoff and just make it a hairpin into turn 1.
Personally, I think that would be the best option because we saw you had to... What was the tenths you had to be in the car
5 tenths.
To get a move into turn 1? I mean, that's just ridiculous. A DRS zone just ends just before 130R to get cars closer. You've got that chicane. Maybe we make the chicane a little bit wider as well.
Yeah.
Then you've got the straight. Make the straight a little bit longer, maybe 200 meters longer. And then instead of turn 1 and 2, just have a really big hairpin. And I guarantee we have 10 times as many overtakes as Suzuka.
And then that means you've got to get your exit. If you mess up your exit, it's side by side with the S's.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got the S's, and you still got the iconic S's, the middle sector. You've still got the hairpin, mid sector 2, which we do see overtakes there.
Could you that double right-hander just before that other hairpin?
Yeah.
Could you extend that out and make that a hairpin as well?
I think, personally, the challenge of those corners is... I think we keep that only because I think when the driver ahead makes a mistake, you get a run into the hairpin, at the top.
Did anyone make a mistake there?
Well, no. Well, yeah, I mean, we saw a few.
You're taking that first right-hander basically flat out now.
Yeah, that's true. That is a problem with F1.
It's not taking it flat out. It's no longer really a hard corner. It used to be. It's no longer an issue anymore for these drivers.
Yeah, maybe you get rid of him. Maybe you get rid of him and make it happen. Yeah, it's always an option.
There's a couple of options. I mean, Suzuka and Australia aren't the only ones that were. They're just the first ones that have come up this season. Yeah, and also I guarantee we get the same issue at Imola. Yeah, Imola's going to be the same. Last year, I was pulling my hair out. I might annoy a lot of people, but I think. Oh wait, what are the last two corners called again? Oh my god, I'm a fake F1 fan. What were the last two corners called? I don't know what are they called. Oh no, I'm a fake F1 fan. No, what are they called? The two left-handers. What are they called? Oh no, this is really bad. I should know this. It doesn't matter. Either way, them two iconic corners. However, extend that last straight. Replace those two 90-degree left-handers with a hairpin. I'm sorry, you just do it. Well, I'd just go one more. I think Imola's had its time in Formula 1. Yeah. Do we need Monza and Imola on this? No. I think Monza's I'm happy to keep Monza. I think Monza's fine. Imola needs to go now. Yeah. It was great while it it was fun because it came back for a year, but it shouldn't have stayed on the calendar. Let's be real. It's time for Imola to go. Anyway, the track talk aside, we've gone on a bit of a tangent there about tracks. But anyway, the Bahrain Grand Prix, it's going to be interesting because it's finally a track that we think we're going to get a lot of overtakes on. This is when it's dull. Yeah, this is when it's dull and we get really disappointed. But anyway, it should be a good track. And news. Yep. I was very good with these newses last year. Yes. Ferrari are bringing a floor update to Bahrain.
They are bringing a floor update,
It was
which
Mercedes all last year. It's now Ferrari this
yeah,
year.
well, I think it's just the Lewis Hamilton connection. It's wherever Lewis is, you're just like, the last year it was so funny because it was like you felt liberated when Hamilton finally won in Britain, and then Mercedes went on that little run, didn't they, where they looked amazing. They looked
Yeah,
like the quickest car.
I was telling you these updates were coming.
Yeah, but then they fell off again.
Yep. What did I say? Any more updates were coming after?
Yes. It was like every other weekend, you're like, Mercedes will bring her upgrades, man.
Yeah, then Vegas happened. It's okay.
Oh, God. But anyway, let's just jump straight into the predictions. Ferrari bringing an upgrade. Who have you got for pole position for the Bahrain Grand Prix?
For pole position, I've gone with George Russell.
Wow, okay, George Russell. Okay, why?
I think if we looked at, I'm going off slightly bit of testing here as well, because obviously we tested around Bahrain.
Yep.
That Mercedes looks dialed in this season. They are the second quickest car. If I go off previous years, McLaren have struggled around Bahrain. We know McLaren, if they don't get it right, they struggle in that car. That car is literally, you nail it, or you're struggling.
Yeah.
And if they don't nail it, I think there's a man who's quite consistent in qualifying, annoyingly for me, and that's George Russell.
Yeah, he every weekend that goes by, George looks more like a championship contender and someone who, if given the right car, looks like he could be a force to be reckoned with, which is really weird because I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of people have been writing George Russell off lately.
Oh no, I don't think he's a championship contender.
I definitely, I think you'll be hugely mistaken in a few years. I really do. On pole position, I've gone with Charles Leclerc. Ferrari updates. Ferrari updates. I think Charles will have the pace, and I think Ferrari will be quicker. I personally think Ferrari will be the second fastest team behind McLaren, and I think Charles will pull something special out of the bag. Now, obviously, McLaren were very quick in Bahrain testing, so they could completely wipe the floor with everyone, and I'm expecting them to. But I've predicted Lando Norris pole for every single weekend so far, so I'm going a bit different. Yeah, doing something different. I'm going Charles Leclerc for the pole.
That's fair.
Right, now moving on to the top three for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Who have you got in third position?
In third position, I have gone with Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
As I said, I think the Ferrari updates are coming through. I think they'll have decent race pace. I think they'll be back where we thought Ferrari were going to start the season.
Right. Okay. So this is a back on track race for Ferrari.
I think this is a back on track. This floor's supposed to unlock the pace of that car.
Right. Here we go. I'm getting deja vu for you and Mercedes.
No.
Unlock the pace.
Yeah. And then what happened? Exactly.
The pace was unlocked for 3 races and then it went again. It was locked back up.
Yeah, well, they changed the car. Anyway, so this floor's supposed to unlock the pace of that Ferrari. We saw it last year when Ferrari did bring updates. Was it Imola? Last year? It worked. They brought a floor there. I think this floor should help. Obviously, we know Hamilton's had issues in the first 3 races after he's admitted that Ferrari have had problems. Yep. Hopefully, no longer has these problems, and I've gone for him in P3.
That's fair. In P3, I've gone with Charles Leclerc. So, pole to P3. I think Ferrari's race pace is struggling this year. But I think the step in the right direction hopefully will get the 1 lap pace where it needs to be. We'll have to see. It's more of a conservative prediction because I'm not going to predict him to win the race. But I'm clowning you for saying Ferrari getting upgrades, but I actually do agree. I think this will make a difference. I really do. And yeah, I mean, it's hopefully going to be the resurgence for Ferrari. My worst fear for this season is that the McLarens just completely whitewash the championship. Currently, Max is making it interesting. at the top.
Yeah.
But how much longer can Max hold on for if that McLaren is a rocket ship? You know what I mean?
That's true.
So, at some point, Lando or Oscar may break away. And if Ferrari can, get there in the next few races and sort of be in there with McLaren, that's what we need. Yeah. And that will make this championship interesting because Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton are no pushovers. And arguably is a stronger driver pairing than Oscar and Lando. Controversially, I think, in my opinion. So, if these upgrades do come through for Ferrari, hopefully they can give us a fight. And it's a bit conservative, but I'm going Charles Leclerc P3.
Okay. I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. P2, I have gone with Charles Leclerc.
Ooh, okay. Ferrari 2-3. Less conservative than me.
Yeah, Ferrari 2-3, I think. I don't think Ferrari have been struggling as much as we think. Obviously, we know Australia was dreadful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just forget about Australia. China, remember Lewis Hamilton did win the sprint when he was out in front.
Yep.
Decent race pace there. Charles Leclerc was showing decent race pace with a broken front wing, let's remember. If he didn't have that broken front wing, probably could have beaten George and got on the podium at China.
Yep.
And then round Suzuka, yeah, they probably struggled the most out of them top 4 teams, let's say, other than obviously Yuki and the other Red Bull. But Suzuka sometimes can be an outlier. We've seen that many times. It can be a bit weird in terms of pace-wise. So I wouldn't be like, oh, Ferrari struggled this year. And I think this floor is just going to help both Charles and Lewis.
Well, I hope so. I hope you're right. I really do. In P2, I've gone Oscar Piastri. Yeah, I just think, you can't
McLaren 1-2 pending.
Well, no, this is the thing. You can't.
It's McLaren 1-2 pending.
You can't write off McLaren. And this is the thing. This is why I'm hoping Ferrari get it right, because I will stop doing McLaren 1-2.
No wonder you've got more points than me in this predictions thing. You just go McLaren 1-2 every weekend.
Well, it's predictions, not I'm hoping this happens.
It's a bit of fun.
It is a bit of fun, but I am staying rather conservative with my Ferrari. If this upgrade works, don't worry, I'm on the Ferrari hype train for Saudi. Ferrari 1-2 in Saudi Arabia, 100%. But and a Mercedes third as well. McLaren don't even get top 3. No, they probably will. But, yeah. I'm a McLaren fan. What am I chatting? I want McLaren to be 1-2. No, I want an interesting championship, but McLaren to eventually win. No, I want Hamilton to win the championship, and I want McLaren to win the Constructors. There we go. Get myself in a hole. Yes. Oscar Piastri second, and everyone knows why. Okay. Who have you got first?
First, I've got Oscar Piastri.
Right, okay. So McLaren's still won for you.
Yeah, McLaren has still won for
What's
me.
happened to Lando, by the way? What's Where's Lando?
Bonus points.
Oh no, not a bonus point.
No. Anyway, yeah, no. Oscar Piastri. We know how good McLaren are. I think Oscar has just been quick for some reason at the start of this season. I think Australia, if we look at it, obviously he had a mistake. He was arguably quicker than Lando. You would say he wanted Lando to move. China, he was quicker than Lando. Suzuka, he was quicker than Lando.
Fair. Fair. He has shown pace.
So Bahrain, I've gone with Oscar.
That's fair. In first, I've gone with Lando Norris, obviously. I think this is the fairest prediction, I think. But yeah, either way, I don't need to explain myself. It's Lando in it. McLaren 1-2. McLaren are going to be strong, and they were strong in testing as well. Their long runs were really good. Their pace was immense. I hope Ferrari are closer, but until we see it, I've got to reserve that prediction, as I said, with Charles in P3. Let's move on to our flop and star of the weekend then. So, Jack, who's your flop of the weekend?
My flop of the weekend is Max Verstappen.
Oh, God. Oh, no. This never ends well. Max has absolutely outclassed everyone in the last 3 races. And you've got Max Verstappen, flop of the weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think Yuki's going to beat him.
That is a prediction.
And if Yuki beats him, it's a flop for Max Verstappen.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
That's kind of crazy, you know.
Yeah.
That is kind of crazy. Okay, fair enough. My flop of the weekend is Haas. Haas, I think, they've had a really wishy-washy season so far, and we're 3 races in. Testing, they looked like absolute ass. Everyone expected them to just be sort of trundling around, did what they did last season. They turned up in race 1 and they were really good. Turned up in race 1, they were actually really bad.
Yeah.
Everyone's hopes and dreams crushed. But then, they're actually really good. Turns out they're actually decent. Turns out Ocon is the GOAT in China, and it turns out Behrman is the GOAT in Suzuka. So, what's Haas doing? I don't know. So Bahrain, I think they struggled in testing. My prediction, it's a Bahrain thing. Maybe their car just ain't doing something at that track, whatever it is. And if I'm right, then they're going to be last, and they're going to be a flop because they've scored consecutive points so far. So if they don't score points, I'm taking that as a flop.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So there you go. My flop of the weekend is Haas.
Okay. Are we going on to star?
Yeah, let's do star.
Now, my obvious star would be Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah.
For beating Max Verstappen. And that would be obvious to go with. I don't really want to do that, though. But I do want to give Yuki the mention.
You're throwing all your eggs into one basket if you give Yuki star of the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've gone with Isaac Hadjar.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I think Hadjar, after his Australia problems, has just shown that he's a really good driver. Like, we came into the start of this season, our season predictions, we were like, Hadjar's going to struggle, blah.
Yeah.
Arguably the best rookie so far this season.
Yeah, he's up there.
He's up there. Probably between him and Antonelli. Behrman not far behind. But I've gone with Hadjar. I genuinely think we could see like maybe a Yuki 6th, Max 7th, Hadjar 8th sort of thing in Bahrain.
I was going to ask, actually, does Isaac Hadjar outscore Max Verstappen as well? That's what I was going to ask.
That would be outrageous. I think it'd be close.
Oh, God. I hope you're right, because that means we're in for a treat of a race.
I think it'll be within, I think Hadjar will be within the 10 to 15 second range of Max.
I won't lie, I think it is possible if Max starts last. I think it's possible that Yuki beats Max if Max starts last.
I think Yuki beats Max anyway.
There's a I am 100% confident that is not the case if Max starts near Yuki. I think the only chance you've got of that being a possibility is if Max starts last or in the pit lane. In fact, yeah, he can't even start on the grid. He's got to start in the pit lane.
Let's wait and see.
Okay, right. And he's got to be lapped by lap 1. No.
Wait and see.
But yeah, okay, that's fair. Isaac Hadjar's it's a safe shout, but I think definitely, he's on form right now. So my star of the weekend is Ferrari as a team, because I think I am putting my eggs in the Ferrari basket. I think Charles will do well. I think Lewis will do well. I think as a team they'll look a lot stronger than they did in Suzuka and China and Australia. As we said, China, they were all right. Still not where we quite hoped they'd be. Suzuka, they were nowhere. Australia, they were complete ass. So I'm just hoping, maybe a 3rd and 4th, potentially 3rd and 5th. You know, up there, maybe ahead of 1 or 2 Mercedes, maybe ahead of Max. and I think
Definitely ahead of Max.
they'll be looking pretty. Yeah, if your prediction comes true, yes. But yeah, that is my star of the weekend. Have you got any bonus predictions for us then?
Not really. I mean, I just think McLaren might mess it up for Lando.
You really is that your bonus prediction?
Yeah, I think the McLaren team will be the ones that mess it up, not Lando.
Okay.
That's all.
I've got a bonus prediction.
Okay.
Gabriel Bortoleto scores a point.
See, I was thinking about who would be your outsiders to score a point. So you're going Bortoleto?
I'm going Gabriel Bortoleto scores a point.
Okay, I'm going Jack Doohan.
Equally as unlikely as each other. We'll see. And Doohan is in significantly the faster car.
Doohan beats Max.
Ah, no! Bro, we don't need Sack Colapinto. We don't need him anymore. Bro, Doohan the GOAT. Right, anyway, That's our predictions for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Any final thoughts?
No, let's get racing.
Let's do it. See you for the qualifying.